Hey, yo, E-King Fight News, you know what, is back at it. And Mikey Garcia, who is previously called out for a Lomachenko fight directly after Lomachenko's victory over Miguel Mariaga. Mikey Garcia is eyeing that Lomachenko fight as something really big down the road. Revealed that he was very disappointed with Rigondeaux's performance against Vasyl Lomachenko. I think a lot of us, at the end of the day, were disappointed. We didn't get to see what would happen later on in that fight because, I could be wrong, but I did think down the stretch, Guillermo Rigondeaux would be the better fighter in the second half of the fight. To be honest, I had felt that from normally Lomachenko. I'm not gonna say he gets off to a fast start because he goes through his own feeling out process, and he sort of builds and builds upon the last round. So maybe I underestimated that part of Lomachenko's game where he does sort of increase his levels of pressure and his punch volume and the way he lets his hands go. It's a gradual process with Lomachenko, whereas Rigondeaux, he's like a bat out of hell, and he wants to make a statement early on. Often he looks to surprise his opponents and knock them down or hurt them early on in the fight, first round, second round. So you could kind of tell from that first round with Guillermo Rigondeaux and Vasyl Lomachenko, it was very much even that first round. It was. And round 2 happened, and we saw a completely different fighter after that. And that's the bare bones truth. That Rigondeaux from round 2 onward has not been he has never looked like that against any other fighter, and that's a credit to Lomachenko. At the end of the day, that's a credit to Lomachenko that he made Rigo look like that for the next 5 rounds before he quit. But here's Mikey Garcia speaking on the fight. Shout out to Fight Hub TV.
Lomachenko anywhere near you. Any concern that this is more than just strategy on their part about keeping their guy not knocked out or whatever, that there might be some personal stuff kind of left over from the litigation?
I don't know if there's so much personal stuff right now. I mean, like he mentioned himself, you're in a business. He says something like, you don't stay in this business holding grudges or something like that. So I think they have an agenda for Lomachenko. They have a game plan on how to guide his career, and they're taking on different fights. And I don't think Mikey Garcia is anywhere near.
Wow, there you go. That's very honest of Mikey Garcia to sort of put out there into the media, and I appreciate that because it's absolutely true that Bob Arum now has his plans for Lomachenko, and Lomachenko's right where Bob Arum wants him to be right now. He's in the perfect spot for top rank. Bob Arum has 2 rising stars in the promotion. It's, of course, Vasyl Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford. Crawford he basically has the top 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Bob Arum, back in the game. He's got not 1, but 2 pound-for-pound fighters right now in boxing. And they're getting great press, but there is a favoritism for one over the other, and of course Bob Arum knows this. But let's continue with Mikey Garcia, who just said that looking at how Lomachenko's being guided as a fighter, looking at him, looking at the plans Arum might have for him, he doesn't see himself in those plans. That's what he just said.
Those plans, but for the right money, for the right business, I'm sure he's willing to work.
Last question, guys.
What do you tell your fans right now? Does your tickets go on sale Monday?
Well, tickets are gonna go on sale, and they're very reasonably priced. I think it's a great show, great fight. So make sure they can come out and support.
Buy the tickets.
If they can't come out, make sure.
Oh yeah, he's fighting Lipnitz. Man, shout out to Mikey Garcia. But if I wanted to pay to see a Mikey Garcia fight, man, against this dude Lipnitz, I hope this dude brings his A game. The last time he fought, man, I wasn't too impressed. I wasn't. He sort of faded in the fight. I got Garcia in this one.
On Showtime, because I'm prepared to give everybody a great show and just give the fans another side of Mikey Garcia.
Thank you, guys.
You know, the size advantage was just too great. Lomachenko had the size advantage and really did what he had to do, and he himself doesn't give himself that much credit for that reason. I was a little disappointed in Rigondeaux because I thought he was going to be able to perform better, but you know, it was just too much for him.
Thanks, guys. That's a wrap.
There you have it. There you have it. Shout out to Fight Hub. Mikey Garcia agrees that in this case, the size advantage was too much for Guillermo Rigondeaux. A lot of, I tend to disagree here. I tend to disagree, but at the same time, I know exactly what he's talking about, and I can see how you can think the size advantage was a major issue. I think it was an issue. It was definitely an issue. I don't think that was the deciding factor on how the fight played out, but it was an obvious advantage. Like, we all knew this would be part of the deal. Rigondeaux will be there, and he will be there to be hit by Lomachenko. But what happens when he lands that left hand? My goodness, that was the one question I had, and I truly wondered if Lomachenko could take that shot. Obviously, we never got to see him land that left hand because he injured in the second round, and he wasn't the type of guy to fuck up his hand even worse to try and get a KO, man. He wasn't that type of cat, and that's just part of the game. What can you do? Mikey Garcia does feel that for one, he feels that the Lomachenko fight is out there and he wants that fight. Mikey Garcia is looking at Vasyl Lomachenko as a future fight. And think about it. If you want to be top 5 pound for pound, he's the guy that's up there. That if you beat, you can take that number 1 spot. And Mikey Garcia sees that, and he knows Bob Arum, especially if you consider that was not a situation like a Miguel Cotto who left on good terms with Bob Arum. This was not a good terms leaving for Mikey Garcia. And you know what? Knowing a guy like Bob, maybe he doesn't really give a damn, and he would still match up Lomachenko because he truly believes that Lomachenko can beat anyone. He even said that he would make Mikey Garcia quit. That's Bob Arum saying that. And Bob Arum, he could easily be lying, but he's made it very clear that he believes in this kid Lomachenko. He thinks this guy, if he really thinks he's as good as Ali, he should be able to beat anyone anywhere near his weight division. At minimum. That's bar minimum. Anywhere near 130 pounds, no one should be able to touch this man. Mikey Garcia's at 140, right? So there is some weight difference in making that fight, and I would like to see Bob Arum consider Mikey Garcia as an option, because unless he wants to make that fight with Miguel Roman, the man who beat Lomachenko, Miguel Roman, I would like to see that fight as well for Vasyl Lomachenko. I think Miguel Roman brings stylistic issues. He's the kind of guy that is gonna take your best shot and keep coming forward. and put pressure on you. That's the same kind of guy Orlando Salido was, so that makes it very interesting. And it's just up to Bob Arum if he wants to make that fight. But Mikey Garcia is disappointed in Rigondeaux and how he performed in that fight. I'm sure a lot of us are. Let me know what you guys think. E-King Fight News. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know what it is.